Well, welcome all to yet another session of Sense 22 Yoga. So, welcome Dr. Sangvi to Sense 22 Yoga session.
Thank you, Sailesh.
Yes, so it's a very special moment for Sense 22 Yoga as well as me personally because it's kind of coming together over our more than 2 decades of association, doctor. It's a very humbling and a very honorable experience today. As we all know, that Sense 22 Yoga goes live every Sunday. We bring in topics which is related to health and wellness, and of course, we have the major fulcrum which is yoga. This session is the expert is Dr. R.K. Sangvi. I'll just give an introduction of Dr. Sangvi. I mean, he has traveled about 4 decades in the pharma industry. The most beautiful part is he's also a practicing clinician, and he's one of the foremost experts, I can say a thought leader in health supplements, specifically a category which we all know as nutraceuticals. Now, what is the nutraceuticals? What is health supplements? Why they complement our food and all is what this session is all about. More than that, this session will also lead us to the different branches of medicine and care which has helped humans evolve over a period of time. Just to give a much more deeper introduction of Dr. Sangvi, Dr. Sangvi has been a practicing physician. He is associated with the pharma industry since last 40 years, closely involved in nutraceutical segment since over 35 years. He is currently chairman of the medical committee of Indian Drugs Manufacturing Association, commonly known as IDMA, since last 15 years. He was appointed in 2021 as again the chairman of IDMA's nutraceutical committee for the 10th successive year. He is on the panel and editorial board of the National Formulary of India and the Journal of Obesity and Metabolic Research. However, the highlight of his long journey, maybe you can say as struggles of understanding or impressing upon the importance of health supplement is he has represented the healthcare industry during various times where he fought for the industry for patient centricity, patient care, specifically for fixed dose combinations and nutraceuticals. And whatever we see on the shelf today is also some contribution of Dr. Sangvi and his team. This session today is absolutely amazing for me. It was an association which started in year 2000, where I still remember the first product, which was Coenzyme Q10, which we launched way back in year 2000. Today, if you look at Coenzyme Q10, it's very much central to a lot of formulations for various indications. And this particular concept of building was done with the help of Dr. Sangvi. He will lead us through an amazing flow of knowledge and thoughts. Next 45 minutes is kind of, you can say, this it's 40 years of his experience, you can say, summarized in 45 minutes. It's all over to you, Doctor. Pleasure to have you on board again.
Yeah, thank you, Sailesh. It's nice to be on the same platform together once again after quite a long gap.
Yes.
Now, the topic today is quite interesting, the one which we have decided to take, that is naturopathy, nutraceuticals, and what is very, very prevalent today and what is in vogue today being discussed is yoga. Now, how does this particular nutraceuticals and yoga and the naturopathy, what exactly are they? And how do we connect these dots? That is going to be the theme for us today. Now, if you look at this particular nutraceuticals and yogapathy, according to me, this in combination actually is what we talk as naturopathy. Let's connect these dots and see how it goes. Now, we have in our country something called Ayush. This is the board which is governing Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, and homeopathic systems of medicine. Now, we have yoga also as a part of this Ayush. Interestingly, you will be amazed to know that the earliest system of medicine in whatever mankind had was the Siddha system. And then came the yoga. Yoga basically is now 5,000-year-old. This was followed by the Chinese system, that is the acupuncture, etc. then the traditional medicines, and then we had Unani, followed by holistic medicine, Ayurveda, homeopathy, allopathy, and the last which has come as an alternative to allopathy is the nutraceuticals. So what we are trying to talk about today is yoga was 5,000 years back and the nutraceutical era is very, very recent. But nutraceutical has a future for us as far as our health is concerned. Now let us look at therapies as such. When we have any problem, what are the therapies we are supposed to be given by the health provider? It could be a doctor, it could be some other holistic person or some other alternative branch or specialist. So there are two ways they manage us. One is they take care of a particular disease process or a particular problem that we have, and that is called reductionism. The second is overall management of the body. Everything which we suffer is attributed to some dysfunctioning of the overall body itself. Like, you have in the Ayurveda, the Pitta and all those three things. That is holistic or holism. So now we have, if you look at this holism and taking care of a special disease itself, you have two segments. One is yoga and one is nutraceuticals. And this would be the naturopathy principles of therapy, if you put this together in a judicious manner. Now, if you look at the capsules, which I just showed you, you see there are capsules and there are all the natural things that we take in food. Now, taking the food as a fruit or a vegetable is the natural thing. And taking it as a medicinal form in a capsule is a nutraceutical. What happens is if you take any food item, and you have seen there are so many people who are giving so many talks, dietitians are there, lay people are there. They say you take spinach, you take amla, you take banana for this, you take beans for this. But we should know exactly what is the quantity of each ingredient you will get by taking a particular portion. So if you take, say, 100 gram of spinach, you get 2.7 milligram of iron. Now our body requires approximately in a deficiency state 100 milligram. If you calculate this, you can imagine how much spinach we have to take. But amla is good. Amla, one piece gives us 600 milligram, which is 500 milligram tablets that we take. So everywhere we have to know that when somebody tells us take a food item as a substitute for iron or whatever it is, the tablet form, we should know exactly what is the quantity we are getting per portion that we are intending to take. Otherwise, that is just pure psychological benefit, has nothing to do with the body. Now, if you look at the Indian scenario, what are the problems we get? NCD means non-communicable diseases. What are the various problems that we suffer? The various problems are the heart, high blood pressure, arthritis, diabetes. These are the four main problems that we have. It doesn't mean that these problems occur only when we are old. Even people who are less than 45 years can have this particular problem. So this is the focus which we see, which we have as far as our health is concerned. Now let us look at the various food that we take. We have the bed tea, then we have the breakfast, then we have your tea and coffee again, then we have the lunch, then we have the evening tea, and along with that we have a little bit snacks, and of course the fruits and all that we have in the dinner. Along with that we have sometimes the sweet dish, and then we have the mukwas or whatever, pan, etc. This is the typical Indian sort of way of having food throughout the 24 hours. Now whatever we have here, is it possible that we have appropriate ingredients so that we are able to get a proper health, especially from the point of view of taking care of all those major diseases which we are known to suffer otherwise? Let us look into that. Now, it was said so long back by Hippocrates that nutrition, let food be thy medicine. So we have to take food in the form of medicine. We need to know what are the items to take and exactly what are the quantities required to be taken for each item, so that that food can actually be a medicine for us and prevent the problems. And this was said about 2,500 years ago. Now, is it possible? Well, we are not sure. So what happens is, whenever we take the nutrition in the form of food, the pharmaceuticals means you're taking a drug. A combination of nutrition and pharmaceuticals is nutraceuticals. So whatever we take naturally in food, if we are able to take an extract or the active portion and put into a medicinal form, that is a supplement that we take, that is the nutraceutical. So nutraceutical actually is a nutrition which is as much researched as a pharmaceutical drug. We know the mechanism, we know the side effects, we know the actual intake levels, we know the toxicity when it occurs. So nutraceuticals are well researched science. Now, which are the most common problems that we see as far as mankind or even India is concerned, especially for India? One is cancer. Then we have the coronary artery or the heart disease. Then the diabetes, aging related problem. Then we have depression, anxiety, stress, obesity. In addition, we have malnourishment, brittle bones, and vitamin D deficiency because we are not exposed to enough sunlight. Now, if these are the various problems, what are the things we need to take for each of the problem? So for cancer, we can consider turmeric. Then for the heart disease, we can consider coenzyme Q10, which Sailesh mentioned, along with omega-3 fatty acids and magnesium. Now, magnesium is supposed to be very, very important for the blood pressure. To maintain the blood flowing in the walls of our blood vessels, keeping the arteries open, magnesium is becoming a very, very important substance. Then we have chromium and again omega-3 fatty acids for diabetes, antioxidants and resveratrol as far as aging is concerned. We have ashwagandha for depression, fiber for obesity. We can have vitamins and minerals and proteins for malnourishment. For brittle bones, we require calcium, vitamin D, and there's one important thing we require is vitamin K27, which we will see, and of course vitamin D supplement. So if you look in a nutshell, these are the things that we require to be taken on a regular basis if you want to prevent all the common problems that we are likely to get as age passes. Now let's see, how do we get vitamin D? There is the myth that early morning walk gives enough vitamin D. No, it is the walk that you do for timing between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. You need to do 20 to 30 minutes exposure in this particular period. Thrice a week, you'll get enough vitamin D. So it's not the early morning. It is 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., which is the time normally people are either in the house or they are in the office. And that is the reason why 60% of the Indians are vitamin deficient. Another thing which has been told so many times, the milk is very important for calcium. Yeah, milk is important for calcium. But if you look at 1 glass of milk or 1 cup of milk, it will give you around 300 milligram of calcium. And we normally require approximately, as an average elderly person or an elder or an adult, 600 milligrams. So you require 2 glasses of milk per day. If you're talking of pregnancy, you require 1000 milligram. So you're talking of something multiplied by 4. So 4 glasses. So it is not going to be easy to drink 4 glasses and 5 glasses of milk every day. So we need to have reliance on supplements. Now there is a particular superfood which is called as natto. I don't think it's available in our country, but it's quite common in Japan and US markets also. Now this natto is very important for giving us vitamin K27. Now if you take a calcium supplement which doesn't have K27, it has only 1% chance that it is going to protect you from fracture. Now, why? Because when we take calcium, it enters the blood goes to the bone. Now, if you have a particular food item kept in front of you on a dish, the food item is there, but it doesn't enter your body till you pick it up and put it in the mouth. So when the blood is going to the bone, the calcium goes to the bone, but the bone has to pick up the calcium from the blood. That is not possible unless you take vitamin K27. So vitamin K27 is a must. And that comes in natto. Otherwise, you take a product which contains calcium, vitamin D, and also vitamin K27, or else you are having a psychological benefit. Most of the doctors also may not guide you on this. Another thing which it provides is something called nattokinase. I'm surprised to see a lot of normal people who have never had any heart problem, never had a heart attack. They keep on taking aspirin for thinning the blood, and aspirin has so many side effects. There are people who die of bleeding out of aspirin. You don't have to take aspirin. You can take nattokinase, which comes from natto. This is an enzyme which is natural. Now, what is the meaning of aspirin? What does it do? It is like having a wall. In a wall, we have bricks and cement. The brick is what will be broken up by the aspirin, and the cement is what is going to be dissolved by the nattokinase. So if you have no cement, the bricks will not form a wall, so we don't have a plot. So nattokinase is natural. Nattokinase is more important for a normal person. Aspirin is for those who got a heart attack. Now, if you look at heart disease, I have said that magnesium is very important. Now, there is a way we can take magnesium. Why don't we just fortify the water with magnesium? So there are the products available where we get 20 milligram per sachet. So whenever you take a glass of water, just put that magnesium sachet inside, and you will have, suppose, maybe 2.4 liters of water per day. You will get enough magnesium to make sure that your arteries are good and you don't have blood pressure problems in future, and heart gets good amount of blood. Most important topic and interesting topic is something about fatty acids. Now, I have seen that there is a lot of confusion, and there have been a lot of people who have been giving different views and opinions about which is a good cooking oil and a bad cooking oil. All opinions keep on changing. So let us know the basics. Now, there are two types of fatty acids. One is saturated, one is unsaturated. In unsaturated, you have monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. In the polyunsaturated, you have omega-3 and omega-6. So this is the way fatty acids are there. Now, what is saturated and unsaturated? If there is a double bond, it is unsaturated. Saturated, there are no double bonds. Now, this is polyunsaturated because there are more than one double bond. Now, which are the polyunsaturated fatty acids? Docosa, that is DHA in short, and EPA in short. Another thing which is there is linoleic acid. Now, this particular DHA and EPA are omega-3, and linoleic acid is omega-6. Now, when we take any food item, whether it is vegetable or fruit or dal or rice or chapati or chicken or mutton or whatever we take, all the fats which are present are all this omega-6 fatty acid. And when we want to take omega-3, we have to take a marine source. Now remember this. Now what about the oil? Now they say that if you want a good cooking medium, according the first and the most preferred would be olive oil. Because olive oil has less of polyunsaturated fatty acids. All your safflower, sunflower, groundnut oil, they are rich in PUFA. And it is the PUFA which is actually causing heart attack and diabetes. Surprisingly, everybody promotes such oils for making good for the heart and good for diabetes. Actually, it's harmful. Where do you get omega-3? Now, omega-3 is there if you look at the various seafood. Now, what is omega-3? As I told you, omega-3 is EPA plus DHA. An average Indian takes 2000 calories. And as per the WHO, if you take the percentage of EPA DHA required, we are required to consume 600 milligram of omega-3 per day. Now, if we do not consume 600 milligram omega-3 per day, we are likely to get heart attack and diabetes, etc. Why? Because the WHO says that when you take other food items, you are putting in lot of omega-6. So we take every day rice and chapati and dal and vegetable and fruit and milk and chicken and mutton. Everything we get omega-6. Omega-3 comes from only seafood, at the most certain restricted items in vegetarian diet. So our omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in India is around 20:1. That is why we get heart attack. We need to put it to 5:1. So we need to decrease omega-6 and increase omega-3. So 2 capsules of omega-3 should be good enough. And there are other items which give us omega-3 in vegetarian source. But imagine flaxseed, chia seed, walnuts, soybean, the quantities that you have to take is substantial. There's another problem when you talk of flaxseed, walnuts, which are very, very important from the point of view of dietitian. They keep on talking of flaxseed and walnuts and soybean. Now, try to understand this basic. Now, when we want a ratio which is 5:1 of omega-6 to omega-3, everything which we take is linoleic acid. And soya, walnuts, chia seed and flaxseed gives alpha-linolenic acid, which is omega-3. This acid and this acid have nothing to do in the body unless they are converted to arachidonic acid, and this is converted to EPA. So the enzymes converting are the same. Now, when we take so much of omega-6, all the enzymes are utilized here. So when we take soybean, walnuts, if we take on that day, the conversion is hardly 0.2 to 8% to EPA. So there is no guarantee whether we are going to get EPA adequate or not. The only guarantee is to take a marine source or you take the capsules. So this is something to understand. Otherwise, we are only fooling ourselves by taking this flax seeds and walnuts that we are taking omega-3. Another thing where they fool up people, I think, where people are getting confused is in pregnancy. When we talk of maternal status where the mother is pregnant and all that, they talk of certain thing called DHA increasing the intelligence of a child. But make sure that the DHA is 200 milligram per day taken. Otherwise, it doesn't work. 10 milligram, 20 milligram, which is available in most of the powders, doesn't work. It is good to take a supplement which gives you 200 milligram per day. Another thing which is important is heart muscle weakness. Everyone, if they do a echo, 2D echo of the heart after the age of 60, they will see that the ejection fraction will be less than 67%. 67% is the normal. If it is 60%, 55%, and then you ask the doctor why is it less, most of the time the reply is that as per the age it becomes less. Now why should it become less? It is because the muscle of the heart has become little weak. If you don't want that to happen, then it's better to take coenzyme Q10 right from the age of 45, 50 onwards so that this problem doesn't occur. Now it is said that if you take coenzyme Q10, it cannot be taken unless you take along with piperine. Piperine comes from black pepper. Because if you don't take black pepper along with coenzyme Q10, this doesn't enter the blood itself. And it's also important to understand we need to take 100 milligram coenzyme Q10 per day. People take 10 milligram and say that we have got good coenzyme Q10. It has no value at all. Expensive product, that is why people put less. 1% is the incidence of heart muscle weakness in any normal person. Now, diabetes. There is a big problem as far as understanding diabetes is concerned. Anybody with diabetes, we say, and people say that take less sugar, less carbohydrates. Actually, the problem in diabetes is there is a particular hormone, insulin, that we know. That hormone, insulin, sits in this insulin receptor. The cell will give the signal to the nucleus. There are doors which are opened, and from these doors, the glucose will enter inside the cell. You can see the doors opening and the glucose coming inside. So this glucose of the blood has been removed and our blood sugar is maintained. Why it is maintained? Because insulin is sitting inside the insulin receptor and it is combining with the insulin receptor. If this insulin is not able to do this work, it is called insulin resistance. In a normal person, it is 11% insulin resistance, even though you don't have diabetes. Now, what happens when we have insulin resistance? The receptor is there, insulin comes, insulin cannot sit inside. So the glucose goes away. The glucose is going away. So if the glucose goes away, cannot enter the cell, the glucose remains in the blood and our glucose levels in the blood remains high. That is how diabetes occurs. So what to do? There are two things. Make sure the insulin receptor is present at the edge of the cell. Make sure that the insulin is able to bind with the receptor tightly. And for that you require omega-3 fatty acids and you require chromium. These two things are very important to prevent diabetes, and in a person who is likely to develop diabetes, to prevent or protect in future. Certain other problems of aging, one is vitality, one is stress and etc. And they say that there are some normal things which we can get in herbal medicine. That is, one is ginseng and one is ashwagandha. If you take, say, some small half a quarter teaspoon and put in the tea of the ginseng root or the ashwagandha root, we will be able to have a good reproductive health and we'll have to have a good protection against depression, stress and anxiety. If you are not very comfortable with putting the root or the ashwagandha extract inside the tea and spoiling the taste, you have a medicine called, or a supplement called St. John's wort, which is a natural sort of anti-mild depression. And there is something called Safed Muesli, which is a very, very good for the sexual health. But remember, Safed Muesli will only work if you take 5 grams per day. There are some products which provide 50 milligram and 100 milligram or 200 milligram or 500 milligram. Very, very insufficient. Cancer is another big problem, and the best fight you can give is by taking turmeric. And turmeric latte is available. But remember, if you want to take turmeric and get the benefit, you need to make sure that the curcuminoid which are present in turmeric, the curcuminoid intake is about half a gram minimum per day. If you have a cancer suffering patient, you can give 3.6 gram of the curcuminoid per day and you can see good results in trying to stall the spread of cancer also. This is very important. And if you take a latte, you may have to take 20 cups per day of latte because the quantity is very less. And whenever we take the turmeric powder, if you want to take enough of the curcuminoid, we need to put 3 to 4 tablespoons. 1 tablespoon is 15 gram. 3 teaspoons. So 3 to 4 tablespoons per day. Otherwise, that particular little bit turmeric that you put in the milk to make it yellow color, it is just psychological. Obesity is another problem. Overweight is 15% and obesity is 5%. There are so many diets, people have only 5% success. You go to the best of dietitian, you do the best of diet, you have a very strong will, but to keep up that particular weight that you lose, it is going to be very, very difficult. Now, understand this main thing that we have 3 centers. One is appetite center, one is hunger center, one is satiety center. So whenever we feel hungry, we get an appetite to start eating, okay? We should take something, and if we try, because we have good willpower, we try to avoid eating at that point of time, then the hunger center takes over. When the hunger center takes over, you will say, hell with my dieting, hell with my figure, I will eat whatever I get. So what to do? When the appetite center is activated, make sure you take something and have satiety. Don't allow the hunger center to take over. Now, what to do when you have a little bit of appetite which is coming up? Take something which is not going to give you calories. Take fiber. And one of the fiber is oat, this source of fiber. It is said that we require to take 40 gram fiber per day as per WHO. And I have seen from a study in India that people take 10 to 25 per day. When you take from north to south and east to west, all the various cultures, it is about 10 to 25 grams. So we are definitely taking minimum 15 gram less per day. And you can take as oat. So take this fiber whenever you feel a little bit of appetite and we want to eat something. Don't say, I am not going to eat, I want to reduce weight, I will have a good willpower. Take something. Because this doesn't give you calories, but it gives you satiety. So you will not feel hungry. This is the best way to lose weight. There are also products available, inulin, powder, etc., which are very good. Malnourishment, 20% of the people in India are malnourished, approximately 10 to 20%. We don't have that much malnourishment as in Africa. It is more sort of in African continent. But even if you want to take something good as a total food to take care of all your vitamin, mineral, everything intake, the best is spirulina. Spirulina is available as a capsule, which is humbug. Take it as a cake. Take 100 gram cake. A cake weighing 100 gram, you will get more than 20% of all the nutrients which you require in terms of vitamins, minerals, except possibly 3 or 4 vitamins. So let's have a little bit of scientific diet, Let's not have a diet which is just going to be haphazard. So for the high BP, heart disease, etc., you require magnesium, omega-3 coenzyme Q10. Diabetes, you require omega-3 chromium. Cancer, you require turmeric. Obesity, you require fiber. Very, very important to lose weight. For the bones to be very strong, you require calcium, vitamin D, vitamin K27, magnesium. Ashwagandha, St. John's wort for depression or for stress. For vitality, you require ginseng, or you can take Safed Musli, or you can take spirulina for nutrition. And what is very important for longevity, you want to live long, you require resveratrol and antioxidants. So let us see how do we have these various things in food. So this is the typical menu that we have throughout the day. Okay. Now for the bed tea, etc., if you want to take something as food to make sure of your health, you can put some ginseng, you can put ashwagandha in the morning tea. For the lunch and dinner, you can have the vegetables and fruits. Then in the evening, you can have a turmeric put in the coffee, turmeric latte or something. Then we can have In the evening snacks, roasted soya bean. For the sweet dish, you can have a cake of spirulina. For mukbas, you can have flaxseed or chia seed. What is important is if you want to have omega-3 fatty acid, you need to take fish. And if you want coenzyme Q10, you require 1 kilo of animal heart. You require organ meat, which is not possible. You need to take a supplement. Now, what about the omega-3? Now, are we comfortable taking all these quantities every day, day after day, for years together? Great. If you are not able to take the supplements. So if you want to take marine omega-3, this is the portion of the various fishes that we take. 1/4 of Bangla, Hilsa and all that. These are sufficient to give you omega-3 600 milligram per day. So one fish or a big prawn, etc., katla fish or a big prawn, surmai, oyster, etc., it can be all quantified. Remember, nutraceuticals to work, quantities are important. Now, successful aging. Now, is aging ever going to be a successful story? It looks to be a little paradoxical. But a lot of people, when you ask, are you having any problem? You feel great. They say, we're absolutely okay. So they are old, but they say they are absolutely okay. But try to be a little objective. Do you have any of these problems? Inability to read, elasticity of skin is reduced. Are you having weak muscles, slow reaction time? You have some pain or stiffness in joints. If any of this has occurred, that means these are the signs or symptoms of aging. Now, what is the real age of aging? There have been a lot of people who are saying that in India, people live for 70, 80, 90 years. But actually, if you look at it, God has destined that we are going to be possible for us to be alive for 130 years. In fact, these are the two scientists who have laid a bet in 2001. And the bet is of this much amount. And they said that man will live for 130 years. And the other guy said man will live for 150 years. And this is provided if you have enough antioxidant intake. Now, what is this antioxidant? They protect from free radicals. And these free radicals are supposed to be very damaging. They are supposed to hit each cell 10,000 times per day. And in all our bodies, free radicals are produced every day because we are breathing air and we are eating food. So the air that we breathe and the food that we eat, when that is metabolized, free radicals are generated. So antioxidants are required. And they are available from fruits and vegetables. But are we taking the right quantity? 50% are never taking the right quantities every day. That is why 80% of the diseases of old age that we see are occurring in us. So this is the cell, this is the nucleus, this is the chromosome, this is the DNA. This is the ending of the chromosome called telomere. It is said that if the cell divides, all cells divide. If the cell divides 55 times, then we can live for 130 years. But every time the cell divides, this telomere starts getting smaller and smaller, wear and tear. So you take a pencil and you start rubbing with a rubber, the rubber becomes smaller. So when this telomere becomes smaller and smaller, the cell doesn't divide. So by the time we are 25 years of age, our aging process starts. We may not feel old, we may not look old. Aging process starts by the age of 25. What to do? Take antioxidants. These are the 4 or 5 main antioxidants that we should take. Beta carotene, vitamin E, vitamin C, selenium, zinc, manganese, and copper in the right amounts. And most important, you want to live for 130 years. See, we may be 40, 50, 60 years. It's not possible. But when we have a child who is 15 years and 20-year-old person, young person who is listening, if he takes resveratrol, 250 milligram per day, there is a chance he will live up to 130 years without having the disease and suffering of old age. Resveratrol is actually an extract of red grapes, but you can't get enough from wine. You have to take about 300 glasses of red wine every day. So don't think of all such things. Better take a supplement. Now, females especially, if they don't want to age, they can additionally take something which is natural estrogen. When the menopause starts, estrogen levels go down, so they start looking old. All the old age problems start. Take estrogens which are natural, so you can maintain your youth. Now, there's a small clip I would like to play.
You say that aging is a mistake.
Well, when I was researching this book, I found that we have some real misconceptions about the aging process. For example, almost everybody believes that aging is fatal. But you look at the data and you find nobody really dies of old age. They die of diseases that accompany old age, which are largely preventable. Everybody believes that aging is irreversible. Now, that's also a misconception, because if you remove toxins from your body, if you learn to get the stress out of your life through meditation, if you change your environment, and if you undergo certain procedures like increase antioxidants in your diet, you can actually reverse the biological markers of aging, like your hormone levels will reverse. There's a sex steroid called dehydroepiandrosterone sulfate,
Lost me there.
DHEA for short. And as people grow old, this sex steroid, it goes down, but you can actually reverse it through these procedures. You can change the blood pressure, you can improve your hearing, you can improve your eyesight. In short, all the things that we think go with the aging process are reversible. Most people think aging is normal, but what's normal? Perhaps we're confusing the normal with the psychopathology of the average, which is dull and uninteresting. I mean, there are people who are 25 and look 40 and behave like 40. There are people who are 60 and behave and have the biology of a person who's 30.
And what we say is that was just they had good genes.
No, but that's another misconception. We think that aging has a genetic component. And yet, that's only a very partially true statement. If your parents lived up to be more than 80 years, it adds only 3 years to your life. But you can do things with your stress in the life, with the toxins in your environment, with your food, with your lifestyle, that can add 30 to 50 years, much more time to your life. And not only life to your years, but years to your life, both the quality and the quantity. And that you override the genes. Most people think aging is universal, but there are organisms in this world that never age. Like microorganisms, like protozoa, like certain other species like the hydra. They keep up their metabolism in such a way that their catabolism...
No, but they're not human beings.
But listen, they're part of nature. What it means is that in nature, there are mechanisms. And we have a biological clock that can respond to mechanisms. We are the only species, as we said earlier, who's aware of this, so we can change it.
Right, because we're the only species that knows we're aging when we're aging.
That's right. And to know that, you have a feedback loop of information. You can use that to influence the whole process.
Right, that's why people say you're only old as you think, because it's that whole 40 thing.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be 40 and people are already asking me, how are you going to feel?
Right, exactly. And when in fact, now science tells us that our biological potential is at least, and I don't even buy that, I think it's much more, but current prevailing scientific wisdom says our biological potential is 130 years, which means till you're 70, you don't even begin middle age. This is the best time of your youth.
Yes! Hi, you.
Yeah, now I think another thing what he has just said is whether it is genetic. Actually, genetic is only 25%. Lifestyle is 75%, the component. So make sure that whatever we have said, you are able to take care. Dietitians rules in our life. They have a lot of advices for us. But imagine the doctor who is understanding the diet is going to guide you from the point of view of exactly what are the quantities which will benefit. So if you want to have a doctor and a dietitian, as far as your health is concerned, don't depend on that. You need to be a consumer who is able to understand this and accordingly help yourself. So this is how the whole thing is, that mankind started long back. But the yoga which came was approximately 5,000 years ago. He is the father of modern yoga. And this is the father of nutraceuticals, Dr. Stephen D. Felice. He is the one who started the modern nutraceuticals. And the market of global nutraceuticals, as far as India is concerned, is only 1%. We don't consume in spite of our population. If you look at the purchase of nutraceuticals over the counter, 80%, over here 25%. So we are not able to help ourselves. We are not helping ourselves really. So the science of positive health and the science of exercise and healing, the yoga and naturopathy, that is actually a naturopathy. In fact, it was way back in 1989, which is the time when I entered into nutraceuticals. And if you look at this particular nutraceutical, they foster positive health. And that is the father of world yoga. That is how the Patanjali name has come. Thank you.
Yes, doctor. Thank you so much. You're right. So can you just withdraw the slides? I mean, you can stop streaming it so that we are visible and you are also visible to yourself, if you can. Yes, thank you. All right, doctor, fantastic. And I have no words, to describe the way this is actually unfolded. Okay, I remember, when this terminology, before Christ and after Christ, AC and AD and BD, BC. So I think whoever comes on this Sense 22 yoga session tomorrow, it will be like, before Dr. Sanghvi and after Dr. Sanghvi. Okay, so your session has been absolutely amazing, doctor, and thank you so much for pouring in your vast knowledge and linking it to Yogapathy, this particular moment. I think a lot of people who will listen to you, who will listen to this particular lecture, will also get a clue, for their next venture in maybe nutrition or nutraceuticals. I'm sure, because they know what is authentic. Right, there are a lot of questions. I mean, we have seen a lot of simplified presentations. We have seen over-the-counter medicines. We have seen a lot of certified nutritionists, dietitians. But what I capture from your talk is a lot of research-based scientific things. And one of the things which has emerged in the entire discussion is that we have to supplement and complement our daily life food which we are taking. Right? Is it so, doctor? That it is very much that there is something inadequate in what we have during the day, even though we have a glorified Indian thali or Indian food habits and etc. So does it mean that we need to have a supplement every day and we have to identify what we really require? Is it so?
If you look at people who consume supplements, I have quite a few patients who have been consuming a lot of supplements. And then they say, why are we consuming so after 10 years, 15 years? Other people, my friends, are not consuming. I said, did you ever get admitted in a hospital, even though you have diabetes of 20 years old? Did you ever get a heart attack? You ask yourself and ask your other person, what is his status of his health? Right. So if you take all these supplements, because you don't get them in the diet, the quantity that you require, the quantity that will benefit you is not possible.
Right. So we see, I mean, beautiful examples, about why you have been assertively talking about concentrations, how much milligrams and etc. Because we all know calcium is required, we all know vitamin D is required, we all know calcium is required, we all know that. But I think what is a common and a beautiful theme which has come out in your presentation is the right quantity. And we saw two celebrities, which I would not name, but they were heavily discussed in the papers, where one of them was advertising oil which had heart benefits, and he was admitted to hospital for a heart ailment. There was another who had COVID in spite of propagating a product for. And today, because of these two incidences, we see a disclaimers in all these advertisements that this is one of the factors towards health, and multiple other interventions are required for a fuller life. So this is one thing which has changed in the past couple of months, not even way back. So beautiful. One of the things is that consumers need to be aware. You showed a triangle where you have a dietitian, we have a doctor, but what is also important is an informed consumer. So where does the consumer look up to, or how can he get that understanding? What is the right thing which he is taking? Is it suitable for him or not?
See, most of the people today in India, the literate and whether maybe the illiterate also, they go to the internet
Right.
and they all know Google.
Hmm.
Today, even as a doctor, if I have to get data, I get from Google.
True.
You are also intelligent, you are also educated, you go to Google.
True.
You just have to find out what is the RDA of a particular mineral or a particular vitamin or a particular nutraceutical. You find out what is the food which gives you that, and you find out how much quantity of food you have to take to get that quantity. It is simple mathematics.
Perfect. Okay. So the word RDA is very, very crucial, and he need to understand what is this RDA all about and what he's getting in the normal course of his day. Doctor, we all know that India unfortunately becomes the capital of practically all the diseases. We talk about NCDs and etc. So how, I mean, I find that of course in the Corona times we had all COVID in the newspapers, but we all know the kind of morbidity, the mortality because of NCDs. So how soon or how early should any individual start looking at health supplements, of course with yoga to complete or the loop? How early should he start?
That's a good question. If you recollect, when we were associated together, and the
Yeah.
first time which we launched was omega-3 fatty acids, we
Right.
said that child should start taking omega-3 fatty acid capsules from the time the child is able to swallow the capsules.
Okay.
So when the child reaches the age of 40, the arteries are as clean as a football ground, without any ups and downs of blockages of cholesterol.
Fantastic.
And for aging related problems, if you want to start a nutraceutical, start at the age of 25 because the biological aging starts at the age of 25. You want to prevent aging related problems, start at 25. Otherwise, whatever has occurred is irreversible. Whatever you take afterwards will only able to prevent that much.
Right. Doctor, we see commonly in a country like ours, where we have various branches of medicine. We have allopathy, homeopathy, Ayurveda, and every time we unfortunately see a lot of differences in the way they approach. We as a yoga company, we believe there has to be an integrated approach to any care which is there. So, what is your opinion on that? I mean, we believe that yoga can actually enhance whatever branch of medicine you are taking for your particular disease. And where do you see the integrative medicine emerging in the coming days?
Everything which we have in India has its own value.
Lovely.
Yoga apart, even though there are a lot of people who have so many other things, Tibetan medicine. So
Right.
there is a Tibetan Lama who is there in Himachal Pradesh.
Okay.
It's Yashi Donden. You can have a Google it out. He's supposed to be damn good in cancer. He is about approximately 100-year-old, more than 100-year-old.
Yeah. Okay.
And he is in that Dharamshala.
Hmm.
And he is very good. And I have taken a couple of patients personally to him, where he is able to increase the life span his doctors had given him. So
Okay.
every particular medicine, you have to find who is the right person, who is an expert.
Right.
And acupuncture also, there could be an expert acupuncturist in, for example, the Chinese. They are
Right.
too good. They can actually take care of your pain much better than pre-government.
Lovely. Okay.
I have had a patient who underwent an acupuncture in New Zealand.
Right.
So you have to get the person who is very good. Not everybody is going to deliver, but you should know the best.
Perfect.
But the allopathy has its own lacuna. You can't get
True.
everything allopathy.
Right. So, Doctor, thank you so much for this session. And I think each word of yours, each slide of yours, was really a nectar for all of us. And I'm sure when people will look at this presentation and again, a lot of their knowledge, maybe a lot of myths will get broken. A lot of their knowledge will get completed on looking at this particular slides. And I will tell all the people who are watching today or maybe watching tomorrow that whatever Dr. Sanghvi has placed, I have been part of this story for a good time. We have seen a lot of these ingredients and products becoming a core of all the antioxidant supplements, etc., which are being part and parcel of today's healthcare system in the country. And I wish that a lot of people, get into the informed choice of selecting their nutrition, nutraceutical, and supplements. And of course, as yoga talks about, of integration, harmony, and cooperation, we wish that whatever therapy or branch of medicine you take for, try to increase maybe the parasympathetic activities and reduce the sympathetic activities so that you get on to that particular balance, the fullness of life and the completeness of life. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanghvi. I was looking for this particular day, and I mean, it's a very, very humbling, experience for me today. I mean, I still remember the year 2000 where we built and started building this story. I still remember where we get omega-3 fatty acids. We still have letters from the patients who used to say that I will continue to take this product till I leave my mortal frame. I think these are very beautiful things, which have impacted the patient in his life, in his family, and whatever environment or the ecosystem in which he is living. And of course, to share that in today's changed ecosystem of COVID times, the supplements, the vitamins have come as one of the major pillars that people have built immunity. I hope everything culminates, and of course, yoga becomes one of the bridges to make this work. So, Dr. Singh, thank you so much. And I also want you to say some kind of final words for our listeners. And what is that particular one-line take-home, so that we don't miss this geniusness within you.
I think there is something which we have to understand in life. First of all, is that you should be able to enjoy life. Everything that you eat and drink is fine, provided all your biochemical parameters are under control. For example, obesity is not a problem.
Okay.
As long as your lipids and cholesterol and your sugar is under control.
Right.
So make sure that you take everything right to keep all your body parameters under control. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I want anybody who's listening to put on the questions. We'll be glad to answer those during the week ahead, and wish you a great week ahead. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you so much.